Hello, everybody. We're going to start in 1 minute. Also, let me know if you could hear me. I know that there was a little bit of difficulties with the audio last week. So if you could hear me, let me know, whether that's in the chat or if someone wants to text. Okay. So we are going to begin. Thank you so much for showing up for the second shiur of this series of the halachas, the laws of Purim. Last week we discussed the mikros of the reading of the Megillah, and this time we're going to be reading we're going to be learning about Matanos Lavyonim. We're going to be learning about the gifts that we give to the poor. If you want to be able to follow along in the Makoros, you can go into the bio of this program, and you are able to go and follow along with the source sheets attached in the Google Drive. So before we go into the idea of Matanos Lavyonim, the halachas of Matanos Lavyonim, I wanted to actually discuss a little bit of the importance of Matanos Lavyonim, because a lot of the times it could be very difficult for us to appreciate being able to give the gifts to the poor during this period of time, the mitzvah of Matanos Lavyonim, because a lot of the times we end up giving the money to either a respective person in the community that will make sure that the money will get to the proper people, or whether that is the rabbi. And it could get very difficult for us to really appreciate the point of Matanos Lavyonim. It says in the sefer written by Rabbi Emanuel Bernstein called Purim, Removing the Mask, that the point of the goal of Mishloach Manos and Matanos Lavyonim is that we want to promote unity and togetherness. We want to be able to connect every single person together, because that is the reason why we had the miracle of Purim in the first place. All the Jewish people came together in a really difficult time, and we were able to unite together to be able to push ourselves through a very difficult time. We fasted in order for Esther to be successful, and we saw that Haman was taken down. And because of that, we see that unity plays a crucial role in Purim. And in order to promote unity, in order to promote togetherness, we don't just give Mishloach Mano, being our friends and family and whoever it might be, or long distance friends. We also make sure to give to people who are in need, to be able for them to also celebrate this simcha as well. And as we're going to see, there's also opportunities to be able to give money for those in Eretz Yisrael who are displaced, or might have lost, unfortunately, family members on October 7th. There are opportunities to be able to help them as well during this very difficult time. So with that, we're going to now discuss the halachas of giving Matanos Lavyonim, giving gifts to the poor. The first thing that we have to discuss, well, just to give a little bit of a rundown first, we're going to be discussing how many people we need to be giving Matanos Lavyonim to. We also have to find out the amount that we give per person, how much money or how much food or whatever it might be that we have to be giving. How much of it are we going to be giving per person? We also are then going to be asking, what do we give? Even though we mostly know that it's going to be either food or money, which one is maybe more preferable to give? And then who do we give it to? This question of who do we give it to comes up because although we look at it as a time to give to aniyim, to give to the poor, maybe there's a different understanding of what Evyon means when we say Matanos Lavyonim. Maybe is not necessarily talking about those who are poor. So we're going to first begin with the first topic, which is how many people do we give to? It comes up in Masechet Megillah, Daf Zayin Amud Aleph, that we talk about Matanos Lavyonim. And Rav Yosef, it says in the first source, Tani Rav Yosef, Umishloach Manos Ish L'Re'ehu, it says in the pasuk that when we talk about Mishloach Manos, that we should make sure to give to one person to another. And in that situation, Shtei Manos La'ish Echad, we should give two portions or whatever it might be. When we're talking about portions, which we will discuss a little bit in this year, but we will definitely discuss it next year. we should be giving that to one person. Matanos la'avyonim, for our purposes for this year, that's what we're going to be concentrating on. It says shtei matanos l'shnei b'nei adam. It says that we should be giving 2 portions to 2 different people. So the question comes up, even though it seems pretty obvious from the Gemara itself, do we have to give to one person? Do we have to give to 2 people? So the Nemuka Yosef and the Dapei Arif seem to have different opinions about this. The Nemuka Yosef says in source number 2, on Dav Zayin Amud Aleph, quoting this, commenting on this Gemara, he says, "Afal pi, even though she'eno sarek l'shloach shtei matanos l'mishu ani ela achasagi, even though that we should be giving 2 mishloach manos, we should be giving not 2 mishloach manos, though it seems like it's talking about mishloach manos because it says l'shloach shtei matanos. It's really talking about matanos la'avyonim, as it says l'mishu ani, that we should be giving 2 portions of food or money or whatever it might be to the ani. It would really be okay. It would seem to be enough to also give 1 portion." And he doesn't seem to comment on the fact that we have to give to 2 people. In fact, he doesn't use aniyim; he uses the word ani, which seems to say that the Nemuka Yosef is saying that we only have to go and give to 1 other person. We only have to give to 1 poor person in the community. Afal pi, he continues, even though alpha pichein, im nosin lo tavshil, even though it would be good to give something that's cooked, or mine ma'achel, or something that resembles food, something that's edible. She'itin lo mina muvkar shebeseudasa, that we should make sure that this is something that is preferable for an ani to be receiving on Purim. So he just adds in that very important note that we shouldn't just be giving, crackers or whatever it might be. We should make sure that this is suitable for a su'uda and so on. But the important part for our sake from the Nemuka Yosef is that he says it seems to be that we only have to give to 1 person. But the Dapei Arif seems to disagree. He starts off by talking about Mishloach Manos. He says, Mishloach Manos, Ish l'reu, Matanos la'avyonim, is quoting the Gemara also. Tani, and continues to quote the Gemara. Tani Rav Yosef, Shtei Manos la'adam achas, Matanos la'avyonim. Seems to be, again, quoting the Gemara, saying that, Rav Yosef, Shtei Manos la'adam echad, that we should be giving 2 portions to 1 person. And then when it comes to Matanos la'avyonim, Shtei Matanos l'shnei b'nei adam. When it comes to Matanos la'avyonim, we should be giving 2 portions to 2 different people. And it seems to be that that is what we should be doing. We should be giving to 2 different people, as the Shulchan Aruch in source number 4 says, Chayev kol adam litin lefacho shtei matanos l'shnei aniyim, that we should be giving 2 portions to 2 different aniyim. We'll be discussing what this really means by 2 portions later on in this in our shiur. So, how much should we be giving per person? As we're about to discuss, it comes up in source number 5 where we quote the Ritva, also commenting on the Gemara that we have on top. The Ritva says, "When we staver de matanos la'avyonim hayinu afilu b'shnei prutos desheva pruta." That he says that we hold when it comes to matanos la'avyonim that even if you were to give 2 prutos, which a pruta is I think it's around 3 to 6 cents. So that would be, about, 6 to 12 cents altogether. That would be chashiva matana. That would be good enough to be able to give for matanos la'avyonim. Aval lo befachos. We shouldn't be giving less than that. So it does, obviously, if anybody has given matanos la'avyonim, it doesn't seem like we end up giving only 3 to 6 cents or whatever it might be of money or food or wherever it might be. We seem to be giving a lot more. But the Mishnah Berurah says in Siman Tov Reish Sadi Daled Sif Katan Beis that it seems to that he quotes both the Pri Megadim and the Ritva which we just had. He first quotes the Pri Megadim where he says V'rashai litin me'achal o maos v'lo masasav ke'es kama yiyesh Shiur matanos. He first says that it would be permissible, it would be good for a person to give food or money, and it should be enough of the shiur for matanos. And the Kedushi Ritva, which is what we quoted before, writes afilu shtei prutos desheva pruta chashuva, that even a little bit of money, basically, two prutas worth, is enough to be able to cover our chiyuv of Matanos Levyonim. Aval lo befachos, but not less than that. So the Mishnah Berurah, at least in Sif Katan Beis, seems to say that all you got to do is give a very minimal amount in order to fulfill this mitzvah. We're going to see that in the next Sif Katan of the Mishnah Berurah. We're going to see this on the next page. He doesn't necessarily hold that for the sake of what we actually do. But in the meantime, we see that the Marasha and the Chida seem to say that we have to be giving much more. The Marasha in the seventh source says Amar de Behanach Shnei Manos Gedolos, that we should be giving a lot of portions. We should be giving a large amount. Shiur Manos Kayemes, more than the amount that we actually established, more than the pruta that we actually established to give. So that means that we should be giving tons more. So what is that amount? So the Chida seems to say what that amount exactly is. He says in source number 8, Shtei Matanos le'aniyim v'chulu, that he's quoting the Divrei Maskil, that comes up. Im nosein ma'o sarich she'iten shiur she'yikne shlosha beitzim ochal, that if a person were to be giving Matanos Levyonim, they should be giving 3 beitzim worth of food. They should be giving three size three. It's either literally beitzim or it's talking about the size of them, the size of 3 beitzim in order for a person to enjoy on Purim. But if the imnosein ochlim sar she'iten lo shir shlosha beitzim mipas. But that the first one, I'm sorry, was specifically talking about money, that we should be giving 3 beitzim worth of money, and the second one is if we were to be giving actual food, then we would need to give 3 kibbetzim worth of bread, of pas. So that is something to take into consideration possibly for what we actually do lehalacha, as the Rambam comes in and seems to be taking the Maharam and the Chidah side of things. He says, Mutav la'adam laharbos b'matanos, says on the second page, now we're on source number 9, the first source on the page. Mutav la'adam laharbos b'matanos evyonim, le'arabos b'seudaso, b'ubishloach manos l'reav. Now, it'd be really good for a person to be giving lots of matanos levyonim and should be able to give us a big seuda for mishloach manos, and those things are very important to be able to do. Why is it that it's very important to do? So this is possibly another idea for us to be able to appreciate. She'ein sham simcha gedola mefo'ara ela lesameach leiv aniyim v'yisomim ve'almanos ve'gerim, that there is no bigger simcha, and there's nothing greater or more magnificent than being able to make the leiv, the heart of a person who is poor, person who is an orphan, a widow, or a ger, or a convert. There's nothing better than to make them happy. And we should take that into consideration for this year, especially if you want to be put in contact with people in YU who are raising money to be able to give Matanos Levyonim to those who are displaced from their homes, or people who unfortunately lost loved ones during the time of during October 7th and later. YU is organizing the opportunity to be able to give to those people, and we should be able to uplift it. We should be able to create a larger simcha for these people, and also the people within our own community, people who are possibly struggling, whether that's financially or whether they also might have lost a loved one. We should be going out of our way to be able to help them celebrate and bring simcha to Purim, because they too should be feeling that simcha that they felt that we too have the opportunity to feel. To bring it up a little bit to our previous year, for those who might have who want to do a little bit of review and also want to maybe hear of what happened in the last year, if you didn't get to listen to the recording yet, the first thing that we talked about was the connection between Pesach and Purim. That just like on Pesach, we went from slavery to freedom, and what did we do? We ended up singing Shir Hasayam. We sang and we celebrated the fact that we were able to get out of that terrible situation. So too for Purim, when we go from Misa to Chaim, when we go from a time that seems like we're going to die and we end up coming out alive, all the more so we should be singing. And that's why we end up reading the Megillah. But that also might be important for us to be able to appreciate giving Matanos Levyonim, to be able to create a simcha for those people who are going through difficult times. We too could be able to help them be able to bring simcha on this really special day, and for them to be able to feel that shira, that song that comes out of Purim. But we continue. Because if we were to help those who are going through unfortunate times, then it's as if it's similar to bringing the Shekhinah, the divine presence that exists, as it says in Shayahu, la'achayos ruach shefalim la'achayos lev nidkaim, that we're reviving the spirits of the people who are low, and we're reviving the hearts of those people who are going through difficult times. So that's important from the Rambam. But the main thing for the Rambam, to connect back to our point, is that it seems like we should be going above and beyond when it comes to giving Matanos Lavyonim. It shouldn't be something that is small. It shouldn't be something that we just give the meager amount. We should be giving as much as we possibly can. And it seems like the Mishburura, even though we quoted Siv Katan Beis, and it seems like he says that it's that the minimal is the minimal and it's okay. But he says over here that, yeah, it's true that all you have to do is give two prutos, but it's better if you give more, as it comes up here in source number 10. When we talk about the two matanos that we should be giving, the two matanos lavyonim, so Medina, this is the ruling. It's true that we could give that amount. We could give a little bit amount. Aval be'emes mutav leharbos b'matanos lavyonim le'arabos b'sudasu b'shlok manos l'reav. She'ein simcha gedolo mefora ela l'sameach v'chulu, etc., as is quoted in the Rambam, that it's important to give as much as possible, whether that's for Matanos Lavyonim or for Mishloach Manos, in order to bring simcha for those people who desperately need it. And with this, V'doma l'shkina, where again it's bringing out this this feeling of the Shekhinah and bringing it down to this world. So to continue this this Mishabura, he continues to say what is the lechachila of how how we are supposed to give over the money. He says v'hina hashte matanos sarak liitem mishalo velo mishel meiser, should be coming from your own money, your own income, and not necessarily the money that is set aside for tzedakah. The hahosafa shemosiv yochal liitem mishel meiser, and also once you fulfill the minimal, once you fulfill the amount that you need to do in order to give matanos lavyonim, then you could also use your what's it called? Then you could also use your meiser. You could use your tzedakah. When I was doing chassan classes, the Rosh Yeshiva that I did it by, one of the Rosh Yeshivas in YU, I ended up going afterwards with him to Mariv at his shul, and there happened to have been a person who was going around and asking for money. And this specific rabbi said, I don't give money out except for on Purim in order to give Matanos Lavyonim. So once while I was reading this source from the Mishabura, I was a little bit confused thinking about what this rabbi said, because it seems like you shouldn't be using necessarily your money for Matanos Lavyonim. But maybe he was really he was talking about how he did the minimal with his own money, and now in order to extend the mitzvah, he utilized the his meiser money in order to provide to people on Purim. We also have the idea that we should be giving generously to those on Purim, and we're going to be discussing that in the last part of this year. So it's possible that he makes sure to have all the money that he can aside in order to uplift everyone's spirits on this very, very special holiday. So we so far, what did we cover? We covered how many people we have to give to, and also how much we have to give per person. Now we have to discuss, what do we give? What do we give as our Matanos Lavyonim? Now that we know the how many people we have to give to, and also the amount that we have to give. So the Rambam in Hilchos Megillah of Chanukah, Perek Beis, Halakha Tet Zayin, says Ein Pochazim Mishnei Aniyim, that you shouldn't give less than you shouldn't give to less than two poor people. So that's important to note. That was something that really also came up earlier in this year. Nosen l'chol echad matana achas o maos o mine tavshil o mine achalin. It seems to be that we should be giving either some kind of money, some type of cooked food, or some type of food to each person in order to be able to fulfill matanos la'evyonim, according to the Rambam. The Magen Avram gives a different answer, or really more concise answer. He believes that that we should really be concentrating on the money aspect. We should be giving money during this time. And he brings this up in an interesting context. We're going to read the first, 6 words, and I'm going to explain what's going on over there, and then we're going to go and talk about how he connects Matanos Levyonim to specifically be about money. So it says Perush Sheyomru Shizeus in source number 12. Perush Sheyomru Shizeus Sivlonos Vechoshin Lekidushin. That Sivlonos, just so you guys know, is the idea of giving a gift. Chassan and Kala gives gifts to each other once they get engaged, and the Magen Avraham is talking about in context of this that we don't want to give money in this type of situation because we're nervous that maybe by giving money, maybe the chassan, the groom giving to the bride money, it would seem to be some type of kiddushin. It would be some type of marriage. And that's something that we want to keep for when they get married at the wedding hall, not at the engagement party. So it seems to be in that situation we shouldn't give money. But aval matanos la'avyonim have ma'os. But when it comes to matanos la'avyonim, when it comes to giving gifts to the poor, that's something that we should consider using money. We should be using money in order to get people the food and the necessities to be able to feel besimcha on Purim. So that's the Magen Avraham. The Ma'aril makes it clear that in this type of situation where we're using money, again, just like we said similarly from the Mishnah Berurah, and we're also going to quote again the Mishnah Berurah down here, that we make sure to use when we make sure to use money, we should make sure that's not tzedakah money. We should not be using money that is from our tzedakah box. Because of the takana derabanan, it was established by the rabbis that this idea of matanos levyonim is its own obligation. So for that reason, we shouldn't be double dipping for our money into our obligation to fulfill matanos levyonim, which is its own obligation. So that's the Ma'aril commenting more on the Magen Avraham to make sure that we set aside money from our income to give for Matanos La'avyonim. The Mishnah Berurah, which we quoted earlier, talks about what we should be giving. It talks about how we could be giving food, and we could be giving coins. We could be giving all the different types of stuff according to the Pri Megadim. And then we also quote the Ritva, which related to our previous part of the sugya. But towards the end of that source, on source 14, it comes up in the 2 last sentences, the 2 last lines. It comes up, Od kasav nirali delechachila sarik litin le'evyon devar haruui lihanos mimenu bepurim maichal o maos. That specifically, you should be the best thing that we could do is to be able to give food or to be able to give money in order to fulfill Matanos La'avyonim sheyochel le'otzi bepurim, to be yosei in this mitzvah for Purim. So far, again, what did we cover? We covered how many people we should be giving to. That's going to be 2 people that we should be giving to. How much are we supposed to be giving? It seems to be that we should be giving, according to the most lenient opinion, 2 prutos, but none of us really follow that. What we should be doing is giving enough to be able to give for a seuda, in order for the aniyim to be able to celebrate Purim with a seuda and enjoy the simcha of Purim. We then discussed what we give, whether that's money, food, and so on. And now we're going to discuss who do we give it to, because the Gemara in Megillah talks about maybe that there's a difference between the idea of an evyon and the idea of an ani. Because why are we using the word evyon? It seems to be that would seem to be a little bit different than an ani. But the Aruch HaShulchan makes it clear that for our own sakes, for lehalacha, when it comes to the law, we don't have to look at the words of evyon and ani differently. As we're going to read now on the 3rd page in source 15, miu al kol panim shnei devarim hem. That it seems like that there's two different sides of the coin when it comes to evyon and aniyim. The kevan de Megillah ksiva matanos la'avyonim, since it says in the Megillah matanos la'avyonim, again evyon nema de davka evyon velo ani. Is it true that we would have to give davka to an evyon and not an ani, and not to a poor person? Umikol makom, the Aruch HaShulchan says, nevertheless, ein ochen. It's not similar for our situations. And he goes and quotes how Evyon and Aniyim come up in the same. Evyon is said first alone in Parshas Re'eh, and then it comes up Evyon and Aniyim together, seeming to be that there's no real difference between Aniyim and Evyonim. So for our sakes, when we're going to be giving, it seems to be that we should be concentrating on. It doesn't really matter how we concentrate on this. It's okay to give to a poor person. But how poor does this person have to be in order for us to be able to give? So the Mishnah in Peah Perek Halacha Chet discusses this in source number 16. It says in the Mishnah, Misha Yesh Lo Masayim Zuz, that we should be giving 200. That if someone were to have 200 zuz, which I looked it up, it's somewhere between I think $530 something and $750. That would be about 200 zuz. Lo yitol leket shikaka upeo umaiser ani. We shouldn't be giving. We shouldn't. They should not take any type of extra needs that might come up. Hayu lo masayim chaser dinar. But if they were to seem to have less than that, afilu elav nosin lo keachas hareze yitol. Then they're able to go and take in those type of situations. So it seems to be that you have to be pretty poor in order to be able to take. In order to be able to have Matanos Lavyonim based on the Mishnah in Peah. We see in the Tur quoted in Yoreh Deah Siman Reish Nun Gimel that this idea of Masayim Zuz seems to hold up, as it says V'yesh Omrim in source number 17 Shekol Elu Hashiurim Lo Namru Ella b'yimeim shehaya lahem kupa v'tamchui v'hayu mechalkin meiser ani b'chol shana. That we should be giving what seems to be a daily a normal amount to be able to give, and then the person who's in charge of the kupa and the tamchui, the tzedakah boxes and so on, will make sure to split it up among the aniyim throughout the year. So that's the Torah saying. If someone were to, I guess, have less than Masayim Zuz, then that's the kind of people who are going to be able to take from the tzedakah and so on. So it seems to also relate to the Matanos Lavyonim. The Rosh Mishans also comments on Masayim Zuz, saying Shiur Chachamim Shezeu Shir Hosaso b'Mazonos Milvushav. That this is lashana, that this is the amount that is necessary in order to survive the year, basically. When it comes to food and clothing and so on. And that's why Masayim Zuz is an important amount to take into consideration. The Shulchan Aruch says in source number 19, V'yesh omrim shelo nemru shiurim halalu ela b'meim aval bizman hazeh. When it comes to now, when we're specifically talking about our days, yachol litol achi yelo karen kadesh parnes hu. That it seems like it's until someone is able to fund themselves, ubnei beiso and their children, me'arioch v'dvarim shel tam hem, and that would be a reason to be able to go and take if I guess they're not able to go and support them and their family. So it seems to be that we're a little bit more lenient about how we're going to be giving out the money. Anyways, a lot of the times you could either be giving it to the rabbi of the shul or a gabbai tzedakah. I know that I'm going to be giving my money to Rav Simon because I know that he's very careful to make sure that that is given to the aniyim themselves, and they are able to then celebrate Purim besimcha. And that's and you have the opportunity to go and reach out to Remy Adanik and whoever else to be able to give the Matanos Lavyonim that's necessary. So the last topic that we're going to discuss is the idea of poshet es yado. Poshet es yado. Sorry about that. The idea of giving generously. It comes up in Masechet Megillah Yerushalmi in Yerushalmi Perek Aleph Halacha Dalid that it says Ein medaktim b'mitzvahs Purim. It doesn't seem like that we're so medaktik, that we're so careful about this mitzvah of Purim. Ella kol mishu poshet es yado litol nosim lo. And anybody that seems to come up to us and ask us for money, we should be generous and give them money. So the Rambam comments on seems to have a very similar idea. He says at the end of source 21, he basically quotes the Yerushalmi, saying basically the same thing. And also ends with ve'ein meshanim ma'os purim l'sadaka acheres, and you shouldn't be using other type of money to be able to give this money. And the Shulchan Aruch basically also quotes the Yerushalmi straightforward. So when it comes to the Yerushalmi, the question that comes up is whether this Yerushalmi is being makel or whether this Yerushalmi is being machmir. Is this talking about something being lenient, or is this being stringent? How would it be considered lenient? I think that it seems like a little more obvious that if anybody comes up to you and asks for money, it would seem to be that you should go and give them money and not necessarily do any research into whether or not they're actually aniyim. And how would we be machmir? Well, we're going to be generous. We're going to make sure that we are generous to the people that truly need it, and that we should maybe do research on who is actually an ani, who's actually poor, and who's not. But Rav Yosef Engel says that this isn't called tzedakos le'avyonim. This is called matanos le'avyonim. It's called a gift to be given to the poor. And for that reason, if someone were to come up to us and ask us for money, we don't necessarily have to do the research. According to Rav Yosef Engel, we could go and give whatever amount that we think would be appropriate to give to this person. So that is the shiur. To give a little bit of a summary again, we said that the amount of people that we have to give for Matanos Le'avyonim is 2 people. The amount that we should be giving per person, we ended up concluding that it should be about a seuda worth of food for each person. Then we discuss what do we actually give. So primarily seems to be that money would be the ideal to be able to give, but also we could. But another opportunity to give is food itself. And who do we give to? Seems to be that there's a limit according to the Mishnah and Peh of who actually deserves to be able to have the Matanos Le'avyonim. But it seems to be that if someone were to come up to us at any given part of the day on Purim and ask for money in order for the sake of Matanos Le'avyonim, that we should go and help them out as much as we can. We should be as generous as we possibly could. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you all next week for our last share on Mishlach Manos and Seudas Mitzvah.